I'm here with Jason Graveline, Pilot for Stars. And Jason, thank you so much for joining us for our Critical Care on the Air Radiothon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having us. It's a very important occasion.
And I'd like to talk about your time in the air, Jason. So how did you come about becoming a Stars pilot? What happened before this?
My start came through the Air Force. I was 17 years old. I grew up in Gilbert Plains, Manitoba, so not far from here. And I always wanted to be a pilot, and I always wanted to be in the military. I did that for 23 years on a variety of fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, whatnot. And then came a time in my life where we were living in Manitoba, and Stars was opening the door to expansion in Manitoba, and I put in a resume, and that was almost 13 years ago. And haven't looked back since. It's been an incredible ride, incredible opportunity.
It sounds like you have flown in intense situations the entire time you've been a pilot.
I've had some incredible opportunities with the Air Force, a lot of travel overseas, a fair amount of experience with the Yugoslavian campaign in the 90s, and then some ground jobs in Afghanistan through the 2000s and past. A variety of fixed-wing aircraft. I was a flying instructor on jets, turboprop aircraft. I flew Sea Kings in support of the Navy for about 11 years. So large helicopters, small helicopters, fixed wing, all things that gave me a very well-rounded experience or set of experiences as a pilot. So that when I came to Stars, the transition was very seamless. I went from national service in an international forum to more community-based service. The ability to live in my province and serve my province, doing a mission that was not all that different from what I'd been doing in the military.
Things sort of have to be scary to be brave. Did you ever have a moment, have you ever, even in your military experience, where it caught you for a moment and you had to really be brave to go ahead and do it?
Most people in a military background will have experiences where it does create pause, it creates concern, but the same is true of flying a Stars mission, where we don't know where we're going. We get a dispatch and off we go, and we work as a crew, because ultimately that's what we are. We are part of a team. And in Stars, our team consists of pilots, nurses, paramedics, but we're backed up by 911 call takers, firefighters, paramedics, police, you name it. And so when all aspects of the team come together, whether it's military or the Stars effort, that's when we can get the job done. And I think even when you have challenging, very challenging, complex missions, if the team is firing on all cylinders, there's really nothing you can't do when we all have the confidence to speak up, voice our concerns, and talk to each other and communicate. That's when we can get things done. Certainly in the military world, I did fly some missions where, and also in my ground jobs, particularly overseas, where I had moments of reflection, deep reflection, I'll phrase it that way. But we worked as a team to get through it. And the same is true of Stars. When all the elements of the team come together, we have very successful missions and good outcomes.
Help us be in your seat. What is the environment in a helicopter where there is serious trauma, where time is of the essence? It seems to me there could be a heightened sense of let's go, or where are you going, or what direction, and it could get pretty hairy. Is it ever, and what's it like in there?
We purposely try to slow things down. First and foremost, safety is our #1 priority. And so we have very, very tight timelines that we operate on in a dispatch. From the time we're told to go to the time we're airborne is often under 8 minutes. And it sounds very fast, but it's a set of well-rehearsed actions that every member of the crew follow. We know the role we have. We know the things we have to do to be ready for a dispatch. And so we do them professionally and quickly and safely. As a pilot, my role is to, first and foremost, fly the helicopter. It's the safety of the crew and completion of the mission. But in doing that, I'm checking weather. I'm checking the NOTAM system, so the notice system of airports and airfield support. I'm looking at the support facilities that we might have at a sending hospital, or thinking about the communication I need to have with firefighters or ambulance personnel on the ground when we get there. We never charge into a situation without giving some thought and some purposeful planning to it, but we do it fairly quickly. In the helicopter, it's a cramped environment. We have multiple radios going on. We have navigation systems. We have the aircraft systems. And the two pilots, again, working as a team, we manage that. And that frees up the medical crew to do the magic, to do the important work that they do, which is take care of the patient, come up with a treatment plan. And again, when the team comes together, we have great missions.
Yeah, talk about an exercise in focus and knowing what your job is and being able to do it. I'm incredibly impressed. Do you have a memory of a trip that you did as a team and you kind of, whether it was weather or an especially challenging place to land or all of that, do you have a story or a memory of where you kind of landed and you went, guys, we did it?
One does come to mind. We went to a scene response. A person had a long fall in a remote lake in northeast of Winnipeg, so inaccessible by any other means but the helicopter. And unfortunately, where this person had landed in their fall, we couldn't land the helicopter there. So what we did was we essentially landed on a rock on this island, and that allowed our medical crew to take the equipment off, and the rock wasn't much bigger than the skids of the helicopter, and they began treatment of the patient. Meanwhile, the other pilot and I relocated to another island, and again, it was the size of the skids on the helicopter, and we repositioned, and they were able to stabilize the patient, get treatment, put the person in the boat, the three of them together with the person operating the boat. They boated over to the running helicopter. We put the patient on board, and then we had a series of stops along the way to get fuel, where they also conducted more medical treatment and examination. And we got the patient back to Winnipeg, and he had a successful outcome. All of that took the entire crew working together to position the helicopter, to come up with a plan of where are we going to go, how are we going to get you to that patient so that you can start your treatment plan, but more importantly, how are we going to get you out of here so this patient has the best chance of success. And that took all four of us working together as a team, and again, when you're firing as a team, there's nothing that can stop you. We have some photos of the area that we land in, and I often look at those photos and I reflect on it. I think, how did we do that? Well, we did it because everybody did their job. We worked together, and we did it safely, but we did it effectively.
Boy, I love the teamwork that you're talking about and how essential that is, and what expertise you guys bring to that team. How far do you go? Like, how far is the farthest that you've flown with this thing? Pretty
much in southern Manitoba. The sky's the limit. To the southwest, Deloraine, Melita, Pearson down to the southwest corner. To the southeast, Vida, Sprague, Piney. And then north, Swan River. We've been there many times. All the way across to Barons River, Bloodvein, Pongassi, Little Grand Rapids. We've even done calls at Gibsonville and as far as Grand Rapids. So quite a wide swath of what we would consider southern Manitoba, but really, if it's within the provincial boundaries, we're considered for it.
Is it incredible for you that you're not a doctor, and your hands aren't on the patient, but really you are part of a life-saving mission?
It is something I reflect on frequently. It's and again, it really comes down to the team. My part of the job, I often joke, I try to be light with it, but I drive the truck. I fly the helicopter. Behind me or beside me is another pilot who shares the same motivations. We want to get the job done safely to help the patient. And then behind us are a nurse paramedic team supported by a physician, giving everything they've got to help someone who's having their worst day possible. And it's an incredible feeling when we throw all this together with all the other components of the team on the ground, the hospital on the other end, and the professionals that are there. When it all comes together, it is incredibly gratifying. It's humbling to know that you're part of this, but it sure is easy to wake up and go to work in the morning because someone is having a very bad day, and you're doing your little bit to help. And we also recognize, too, it's not just about the patient. It's the patient's families. It's the patient's friends, the people that have witnessed the trauma. So there is a very large swath of people that are involved, all with the same hope that patient has a good outcome.
The money we're asking for today and the money that's being donated, a lot of that is because you need the equipment to do this. Talk a little bit about this helicopter and the fact that, thanks to donations, you guys are able to have this kind of equipment and expertise to get you where you need to be as fast as you can. What can this vehicle do that pretty much anything else couldn't?
This is an incredible helicopter fitted with some of the best medical equipment available, optimized for flight. So this is a flying ICU. It's a flying emergency room staffed with some of the best medical professionals that are available. It's a brand new helicopter, an Airbus H-145. It replaces a very, very long-standing fleet of BK-117 helicopters, but going forward we have a very, very modern helicopter capable of day and night flight, capable of flight in visual flight conditions as well as instrument flight conditions. So like cloud and fog and rain. Every pilot in STARS is trained to use night vision goggles. That almost turns night into day. So that means we can land in a farmer's yard or at an industrial site, a mine, in very, very tight confines, day or night. So we bring this very, very sophisticated air vehicle that contains a very modern suite of medical equipment, but more importantly, the people on board that know how to use it, highly trained medical people. And so we can bring the treatment and the equipment right to the site, come up with a treatment plan, and then together working as a team, we can come back to that receiving hospital so the patient can get that care they need.
Amazing.
Yeah, when it all works, it's an incredible program. Yeah. But we can't get in the air without support of Manitobans. I mean, this is a program for Manitobans, and when Manitobans see that red helicopter flying over top, they should think of it as their helicopter. This is your helicopter medical service. We are here to serve Manitobans. I have family in rural Manitoba. What really hits home is when you start transporting people you know, or when you fly to your own community. And that for me is when it really hit home. I started going back to my hometown, my home community, flying people I knew. And that's when it really started to register. So this is Manitoba's helicopter, and we are one piece of the puzzle that makes our health system work. And we're awfully proud to be here, and we're very grateful for the support we receive from Manitobans.